And another question about the message of Abraham. I'm just wondering, as Esther's consciousness expands more and more, or however you put it, does that mean the message of Abraham becomes more clear as well? Like, ultimately, is what we're hearing still through the filters of Esther?
Always.
Yeah.
That's why the primary message that we offer, that she translates, is about your own alignment and your own discovery, your own vibrational changes. In other words, we're not wanting you to develop a dependency on anything that is outside of you. And as harmonic as you are with Abraham or with Esther, it is still something that is a bit outside your own resonance, you see. Well, we can answer this question precisely in this way. We've said already today several times that whatever is manifesting in any moment is a juncture between what is going on in the vortex and what's being allowed. It's the juncture between the desire that you hold and your ability to allow the desire. So whenever someone is receiving, as Esther is, those two factors are always in play. How much desire is present and how much allowing is present. So when an audience like this gathers and you have many things that you're wanting to think about and talk about, then you become part of the asking process. So the clarity or the power of the message that is summoned is really summoned. You're doing the step 1 work in a forum like this. We are doing the step 2 work in a forum like this. And Esther is doing the step 3 work in a forum like this. And when you really think about it, all 3 steps have to be in play at all times in order to have that meaningful moment. And so when desire is very strong, Esther noticed this from the beginning, when she allowed someone to visit with Abraham through her format, the power of their desire really made a difference in the power of the conversation. In other words, if they were just sort of testing or frivolously engaging, Esther could feel that there wasn't much energy coming, and she knew that it was not her job to goose up the energy. In other words, she knew that it was not her job to try to make it good for them, that to the degree that they wanted and to the degree that she was allowing, the conversation could be very good, but ultimately it was their readiness to hear that was going to make the change for them, you see. Mm-hmm. And so anytime that you are co-creating with any other, of course, their desires, their intentions, their beliefs are all part of the process. With anyone with whom you are interacting, you can't have a co-creation with anyone without their vibration being somewhat part of the mix. In a situation like this, where Esther has played this role of receiving and interpreting for so long, it's easy for her to do under any and all conditions. In other words, all she has to do is remind herself that this is what she does and tune into the frequency of that, and it flows through. And it's easier for Esther to receive the answers that you are looking for than it is for you to initially receive the answers that you are looking for, because she's not in a state of resistance about the answers that you may be seeking. Mm-hmm. So, but still, it's your work to rendezvous with it. What is the basis of that question?
I feel like in the last few months, I've really been able to get in touch with my own guidance. And to be honest, when I first came onto the cruise, I felt quite physically unwell. And I was almost over the Abraham message, like, with all due respect. I was kind of like, I don't need to hear it. Like, I do. Now that I feel better, I'm loving it. But I kind of feel like my life had just really, in so many ways, come together in wonderful ways. And it wasn't that everything was perfect and I suddenly had $1 million in the bank and all this sort of stuff, but I was really peaceful and content. And one of the biggest things I've been working on in my life is that I've had a degenerative health disease. And I just all of a sudden released all my fear about it a few months ago. And I was like, I don't know if it was almost a state of, it wasn't apathy, but it was this peace. It was like, I know I will be well, and whatever the path that it takes to get there is fine, and whatever comes up, I'll deal with it. And part of it was what you guys said once about moving with the eye of the hurricane instead of, rebounding off all the sides of it. And then just before I left Melbourne, I met a beautiful man, and everything about the trip just fell into place, and everything was just kind of nice.
Well, sometimes a forum like this exaggerates an intention to expand or evolve or even try too hard. And from what you've been experiencing, where you've found yourself in a more consistent state of allowing, you understand that the trying too hard is counterproductive. And so that's why it's interesting. Esther was telling someone this example the other night at dinner, that in the beginning, when they were first moving around the state of Texas, they were holding a seminar in Dallas every month, and in Austin every month, and in Houston every month, and in San Antonio every month. And that was pretty much the scope of the tour that they were on. And as a result, because they did it month after month, many of the same people would come to gathering after gathering after gathering. And after a little while, because it was a familiar group that was gathering mostly, every now and again a new person would come, and a new person would ask a question that the group felt like they had already dealt with. They felt like they already knew the answer to that. And so Jerry and Esther thought that it might be a good idea to begin holding newcomers seminars and old-timers seminars. Imagine, after 3 or 4 months, you were an old-timer. And if you'd never been there before, you were a newcomer. And then they discovered that it didn't work out very well because everyone wanted to come to both meetings. In other words, no one wanted to miss anything. But the most important reason that we're telling you this is that what Jerry and Esther also began to settle into was an understanding that everyone is ready to receive whatever they are ready to receive, and that the desire, the individual desire, is part of the mix and is understood by Abraham. And so, since we understand everything that you're reaching for, as well as your vibrational proximity to it, everything that we offer is multi-layered in order to help you to come into vibrational alignment. And of course, you've said the most important thing that has been said in this gathering or any other, and that is that the primary impetus behind everything that we teach is the self-sufficiency of your own alignment. In other words, that's what it's at, where it's at. Every word that we speak is about bringing you first to the awareness that relationship exists between you and you, and next to the understanding that it's your emotions that give it to you, and then to an exaggerated desire to keep playing the game of your never-ending joyful expansion. You see, because there are no answers that you're going to receive here that will satisfy you forevermore. It's endless. So if you're not enjoying the journey of being part of the explosion of the new leading edge thought, then this is not a place that's very satisfying. In other words, that's one of the things that Esther especially enjoys most about gatherings like this, where many of you are new, but not new to the material. Many of you are new to the cruise, but not new to the seminar. Many of you are new to the concepts, but not new to life experience. In other words, all kinds of different places of involvement in all of this. And yet, together, the satisfying experience of having someone in the chair the other day proclaiming to be new, and yet right there with a question that brought everything forward to a new leading edge place. Understanding that it is the expansion that is the reason for the whole exposure to life. None of you, it would be like saying, I'll go forth and live life in order to get it done. I'll go forth and live life in order to get that over with. When what you are doing, you're coming forth to live life for the never-ending potential of wonderful experience while you're having it. And what makes for the wonderful experience is these two components that must come together. There has to be an active desire within you, or it won't come together, and you have to be in a place of allowing the active desire to be experienced in the moment. And that juxtaposition of those two perspectives is the robustness and the deliciousness of life. It's what you call passion, it's what you call adventure, it's what you call timing, it's what you're feeling every time you're describing the very best part of life, you see. Yes. Enough?
Thank you.
Yes,
Can I
Andy.
ask you one more question? Thank you. This just came up in my mind as I was sitting with you guys just before I put my hand up. And that's, my name is a Sri Lankan name, Nilanthi, and it's always mispronounced. And so most of my friends will call me Nil or some abbreviation of that. And Nil obviously means zero or nothing. So that often gets joked about as well. And then I've noticed in America, no one can understand either my accent or my name, so it becomes some weird conjugation of that. And I feel like I become a chameleon almost in order to fit in with different people's